So I just saw Cocaine Bear, and it was mid. The bear did cocaine. When I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought it was at least interesting that they're making this kind of Reddit movie. This is the kind of concept that you'd expect to be taken on by The Asylum, a type of Sharknado, if you will. It's not exactly something I'd expect to have a $30 to $35 million budget behind it. There's also a crap ton of producers, including Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. The animation of the bear was also made by Weta. There was a good amount of faith put into this project being successful. And yeah, sure, it's not like Avatar budget or anything, but the amount of resources that they gave to what is essentially a shitpost movie is kind of interesting. Probably the best part about this movie was its marketing. The movie is called Cocaine Bear. The bear does cocaine, there's some deaths. The title and concept of this movie are very attention-grabbing, so it's no surprise that it would be successful. However, unfortunately, only about half of any given aspect of this movie actually worked for me. The writing and humor had some funny moments, but there was a lot of it that just really did not work at all. The deaths in the film were also very hit or miss. Some of them were fun and creative, and others were cheap and lazy. Part of the score had a retro 80s vibe to it, but during a lot of scenes in the film, they just completely abandoned that tone and went with a cliched kind of action-y music score. It felt very modern and forgettable and unspecial. It was weird that the style of the music did not have any consistency throughout the entire film. The performances in this film were also sometimes good and sometimes unspecial. Most of the actors seemed to be doing a real tongue-in-cheek, not too serious sort of performance, which really helped the film, honestly. I think the best thing that was going for this movie was the fact that it was insisting it wasn't taking itself too seriously. The bear character, also sometimes fun, sometimes annoying. What was particularly frustrating about this movie is just how little of the bear was in the movie, which is just a byproduct of it being computer animated. They want to save money, and the more time that it's in the movie, the more money they have to spend. There was a really bad movie that we recently watched called Congo, and you can watch it with us on the channel, watch the video. But despite that movie being so bad, I really appreciated the animatronic costumes that they used for the ape characters. It was apparent throughout that film that they wanted to include it as much as possible. They built it, it's there, and they get to show it off. But now that everything's computer animated, they're just constantly looking for excuses not to show things. Even in Spider-Man No Way Home, they had a scene where the lizard guy was like, oh, I'm just gonna wait in the van. Yeah, let's all have a conversation up here in my apartment. All of the CG characters stay in the van. It's a good thing the computer animated characters all just decided to stay in the van, and we're all having a conversation up here without them. What a wild coincidence that gets to save us money, and there was totally a good reason for that to happen in the script. There's parts in Cocaine Bear where the bear will be essentially attacking them, and then it'll just disappear. It'll be like, oh, now where is it? As if it's like stealthing, or it's just is able to just disappear quickly behind a tree. And it's like, okay, I guess the movie is trying to play that off as part of the action or maybe part of the joke, but it's really just to not include it on screen as much. There's no good reason why the bear would stop attacking. It made it pretty clear that it wants to attack you. It's also on cocaine. Oh, where'd it go? It's with the camera cut and then it's not there. Oh, wow. I guess we don't have to pay for the animation for a couple more shots. Oh. It's also particularly frustrating how the lighting of this film seemed to be centered around the animation budget. It's pretty common knowledge that the darker your film is, the easier it is to hide imperfections in computer animation. This is a huge reason why the nighttime scenes in the first Jurassic Park movie still look great, even though it's a film from 1993. And this is also why some of the daytime scenes from the same movie look a bit aged. However, I would still prefer to see more imperfections in daytime scenes and less imperfections in nighttime scenes than watch a movie like Cocaine Bear where they just made the entire movie dark. The daytime scenes are weirdly dark. Every scene is weirdly dark. They color corrected the entire movie to be weirdly unnaturally dark just so the bear looked a bit better in every scene. It doesn't look great. Congratulations, there's less imperfections on the bear, but now your whole movie just looks bad. That certainly was a fair trade. The directing in this movie movie was also very not great. This is another one of those movies that really separates what different types of people are looking for in different films. There's a huge amount of people that talk about movies where what they talk about is essentially just the what happens in the film. But what matters so much more to me is how something happens in the film. And when I look at how this movie is shot, it's just so fucking unmotivated. Like, yeah, in any given shot, you're technically including the characters in the shot and you're including the action in that shot, but there's no artistry behind it. There's no purpose to how you're communicating the shot. The angle of each shot and what is shown in frame and how long each cut lasts, it all just seems like it could be completely random. Like it's not being done for any reason. Feels like someone kind of just figuring it out as they go with no real vision. And this is made even more apparent by the dramatic difference in how the action scenes and the dialogue scenes are shot. And when I say action, I mean any shot where the bear's actually in it. As soon as the bear's on screen and there's obviously a visual effects supervisor working on the set with the director, the personality of how things are shot is just so dramatically different. The cuts are a lot less frequent. Everything just feels so much more smooth and sensible, whereas any scene without the bear just feels sloppy and nonsensical. Some of the dialogue scenes have way too many cuts, and there's even an action scene without the bear that is so terribly shot. Basically, some characters were fighting in a bathroom, and the way that they decided to show the action was just so sloppy and confusing. There's way too many cuts, you can barely tell what's going on. There's a distinct lack of comprehension as to how things will appear in the final product versus how they're being shot. It's just bad directing. Sorry, Elizabeth Banks, I wasn't going into this movie expecting to shit on your directing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't see Charlie's Angels remake or whatever you did, so I had no idea, and wow, it is very apparent that is not one of the strong aspects of the film, so oops. So the title of the movie is Cocaine Bear, and the bear doesn't really act like a bear, and whenever characters do cocaine, they don't act like they're on cocaine. Every character that does cocaine in this movie acts no differently after they do cocaine than they did before. There's characters that did cocaine pretty early on in the movie, and if they didn't remind me by saying out loud that they did cocaine, I would have not remembered. A good 30 minutes of the film went by and I was like, oh yeah, I guess they did do cocaine, because they certainly aren't acting like it. It would have been pretty funny if they did, you know? Your movie is about cocaine. If they were acting a bit more energetic or louder, you know, that would have been cool. But no, they're just insisting that cocaine was done. They are doing a tell, don't show. Hey guys, we totally did cocaine. It doesn't really have any effects or anything. You know, we did it though. That's funny. Anyway, this movie was fine. It didn't take itself way too seriously, so I wasn't so annoyed by it, and there were some satisfying scenes. I liked the ambulance scene a lot. Unfortunately, that was not the climax of the film, so when it happens, everything after that point is just kind of more disappointing because you just burnt yourself out halfway through the movie. There were some funny jokes, there were some not funny jokes, there were some really cringeworthy attempts at jokes. There was a part of the movie where they're like, how do you know it's a girl? And the character's like, because its vagina is on my ear, but that's not where he is. Like, his head is underneath the bear's neck, so that doesn't make any sense. And it was just like, okay, well, you threw in that joke because that's just a haha funny, like, you said vagina touching my ear, haha, that means this bear's vagina is on your face. That's gross. But that didn't happen. There was either no communication between departments, the animators should have had the bear fall the other way or something, or they recorded that line in post and they just added it even though it didn't make sense, and they could have said its vagina is on my knee or leg or something. I don't know. They could have said something else. I don't know. It was just a really weird moment. Anyway, this movie had an attention-grabbing title and concept, and I saw it in the movie theater, but it was unfortunately a lot of wasted potential. If this movie had a different director behind it, it could have been so much more. So yeah, check it out if you want. It's probably not the worst thing in theaters right now. I likely will not be seeing this one ever again, and I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. Thank you.
This sounds good.
I'm gonna check the map here. How you doing, Scoot?
I'm doing great. Thank you for checking.
Oh yeah, good.
Wait a minute.